Good afternoon, everybody, in English 1301 at UT Permian Basin. This is Dr. Myra Saucedo from the University of Texas Permian Basin in my online course, the English 1301. Okay, everybody has closed up on their first paper, your literacy autobiography, um, or also known as your literacy narrative. So you narrated or you use storytelling style of writing to talk about your own journey to literacy, to learning the language, being involved in a culture, learning to read and write in it, knowing when you really belonged, and especially if you're bilingual or multilingual, how many languages that you translated, when you translated for people, and things like that. So, the first paper, your literacy narrative, was about you, how you learned to write. The second paper, that's due in a little bit more than a week, is an interview with somebody that does writing on the job. This paper is often called Interview with a Writer, but that's not what you need to do. You don't need to find somebody who writes novels, is a journalist, writes for newspapers online or blogs or anything like that. You need to find somebody, preferentially somebody in your career field that you would like to go into, to see how much writing they do on the job. For example, if you're in kinesiology, you may find a coach or athletic trainer or somebody, and you think, yeah, I'm in engineering or I'm in science, nobody does writing on the job. You cannot be further from the truth. Everybody has to do professional writing on their jobs. So it would be really good for you to interview somebody in your own field. Now, I know this is tough for people in the medical field in the era of coronavirus. Pandemic has not ended despite what some people are saying in social media. It's not quite over, and people are tired that are in the medical field. And in an ideal world, you would go to the office of the person, even if it was a nurse or a doctor, go to their office and get 10 or 15 minutes with them to interview them about the kinds of writing they do on the job, the percentage of writing that they do on the job, how much writing makes a difference, how important is accuracy. If you make a mistake in the medical field, could be a life or death issue. So writing is tough. Police officers, uh, they have to write accurate reports. Other people will write reports that can end up in a court of law, and how carefully they have written, how accurately they have written will mean a lot. So this is a 4 to 5 page paper. How do you get to that? Well, it used to be you would go out into the field, get in somebody's office, describe what's around them, even before they come in the office, so you get an idea of what this person is like by the type of posters or photos or things they may have around their desk. I put in an article called Dr. Chaco and Rocks. And it was written by a freshman student years ago about a professor named Dr. Chaco. And rocks were all over his office because he was a geologist. It makes for an interesting title rather than interview with a geologist. Dr. Chalk on rocks. Yeah, I'm more inclined to see what is the next line, what is coming up next. Uh, and interview with a science writer, well, that's not bad. But paper one, yeah, paper two, no, no, you have to have a title, preferably with a verb in it. So Dr. Chalk on Rocks has no verb, but it's still a catchy title. And you need to think about that. Just don't put in paper two, here it is. Nobody wants to read something called paper two or interview paper. Come up with something a little catchy, something from your interview. So, how do you interview somebody? Uh, in past semesters, students would take their cell phones and record people because they could not type fast enough or write fast enough. And the key is to go in there with your questions ready. So you know what kind of questions you want to ask. You want to know the person's academic background. Did they learn writing on the job? Or did they already come with those skills? You're going to find a lot of people learn writing on the job, but they did learn writing at a university level before they came on the job or college level. Professional writing is very exacting, and even in emails, you can't write a humorous email in text speed to your manager and expect to be respected. Uh, won't happen. So, yeah, you need to be careful with everything you write on the job. So, this paper interview with someone who does writing on the job. I realize you're not going to be able to go out into hospitals and out in the field in certain places because of the pandemic. You cannot just walk into an office and interview somebody. They're too busy or because of protocols and health reasons. You can interview somebody over the phone, and or video conferences are the best. FaceTime and video conferences. You will be able to describe that person, their appearance, what their office looks like if they will show you with their phone, and give you an idea of this person is really organized. This person has a messy desk, but they are mentally organized. So you can give a little bit of background on the person to pull the reader in. That's the first page. And since you need 4 to 5 pages, the first page introducing the person. What do they look like? What is their office like? What kind of environment do they work in? What kind of knowledge do they have? What do they bring to the job? Uh, do they have degrees, academic degrees? And did they do most of their learning their writing on the job? So that's already 1 page into it. Then you ask them questions, they give you answers. And sometimes they may lead you off into a whole other area that you didn't ask about, but it could be so incredibly interesting that you just follow that thread. I did that as a newspaper journalist for more than 14 years. Sometimes some people want to give you yes or no answers, and you're stuck. So do not give them a chance to say yes or no. Do you like your job? Yes. No. Instead, say, what do you like best about your job? What do you like least about it, and why? And, expand the questions. So you will be interviewing somebody about their writing, percentage of writing that they do on the job. You will be surprised at the high percentages that people are writing, even in sports. So you can interview a coach, you can interview a teacher, athletic trainer, a really, it's not great to interview somebody in your family uh, because it doesn't really take you out of your box. And we're told not to allow students to do that. But you know what? Because of the pandemic, I do allow students to interview people in their family. One person interviewed uh, an aunt, however you say it, depending on what part of the country you're from, who was a publishing author in novels, and they wrote a tremendous paper. Other people have interviewed people in their family and said, I just learned things about them. I had no idea what they were doing at work all day. And this has really opened up my eyes to what this field encompasses. So, yeah, um, do not write this in question and answer style. Here's my question, answer QA, no. This is a narrative essay, storytelling style, uh, an essay, an interview. And so you will have written it in paragraph form and integrate their answers to your questions. Do not say, I asked this, they said this. I asked this, they said this. Make it into storytelling and a narrative, or like a journalist would write. It should be third person. If somebody is your teacher is Mrs. Jackson, do not put that in the paper. There are no courtesy titles in academic writing if you're working in Modern Language Association MLA style. So do not write Mrs. Jackson. Mrs. Jackson has a first name. Write the first name and the last name of the person. And then the rest of the paper, it would be Jackson said. Doesn't matter if they want to go by Mr., Mrs., or Ms., or Miss, or whatever. No courtesy titles. Their first name, they have a first name and a last name. Rest of the paper, the last name. Even teachers that go by doctor, it's a doctor of philosophy. If they're an actual doctor, sometimes the name just DR period is put in there, but it's better just to go with the last name to be safe on everything. So I'm giving you a lot of ideas. Uh, do not wait. Start now and find somebody right away. Call somebody and say, can I do a 15-minute interview with you? Please, because it's got to be done in a matter of 8 or 9 days. And tell them it's for a class. It will not be published. It will not be for the eyes of anyone. And if you were to interview, say, a police officer, and you should get a sample of their writing of anybody you interview, at least one paragraph that is a sample of the style of writing that they do. And if you get a police officer, things are going to be redacted. That means they'll take a black marking pen and mark out certain things that might be part of the investigation in progress. So they can't reveal some things. So that happens. And even in the medical field, there's a lot of rights to privacy in health. They can give you snippets or they can give you a form and you can take a paragraph from a form that they write. This is the kind of thing I write to. I document things. I complete these forms each day, and they don't have to give you actual names of people that have private lives uh, for the paper, but it would help if you had an excerpt of their writing so you could say what kind of style or genre of writing that they do as a professional, as a scientific. Is it from the field of psychology? What? And you need to get started right away. People are busy. Uh, you can email people. Email interviews are not the best because people will correct things over and over till it sounds like a robot answered your questions. And it's kind of better to be spontaneous on the phone. Use your cell phone to record if you can, or record however you can, and then go back because you might not be able to write or type fast enough. So just get started. If you have any questions, email me. I am here. It's still spring break officially, not for me. So yeah, tomorrow's the end, and we need to get this paper going as fast as possible. So pick out the person that you want to interview, let them know, and tag them, and find a time you can do this so you can get it done and have your questions ready so you're not just stuck there. You don't want yes or no answers. You'll you'll be in a bad place if that happens. Um, Open-ended questions, please. How? Why? Did you do this? Why did you choose this job? What do you feel like about writing? Is it a negative thing for you to write at the end of the day? How do you feel about the writing that you do? So, this video is going on long, but I wanted people to have it, so I am going to cut it off and spool it up and send it out to you pretty soon. So thank you, and see you in the next video.